Future hubby and I have been together for 10 years. We met in university and have dated ever since. We have been engaged for about a year and are getting married next summer in August. Off the bat, his family weren't keen on me. Because of university, they didn't actually meet me until we'd been dating for several months. Our university was quite close to my parents' town, so future husband had met them a few times, but my future in-laws lived several hours away. When future husband finally introduced us, they were wary because they didn't want a girl messing with future husband's education. He'd worked really hard to get into the university. We're in England, and it's a good school. I won't say which one, but they take part in a boat race every year. So, yes, very good school. Let's ignore the fact that I went to the same school. Anyway, they've never really liked me, but they have tolerated me. After university, we moved to our capital city for work and still live there. His parents come and visit from time to time, as does his siblings. He has an older brother and a younger sister. Oh, I have one older brother who went to the same school. He was the year above us, and he introduced future husband and I. He lives in the same city as us, so we see him all the time. Luckily, we both love brother, with his tendency to lose his keys and need to sleep on our sofa. Anyway, future husband's younger sister is the sister who is getting married as well. At least, she was supposed to have gotten married a month ago, but because of the current virus, her wedding was canceled. Cue future mother-in-law. During a recent family video call, future sister-in-law was all excited, which surprised me because she's been pretty down about the whole canceled wedding, but I was happy that she was happy. Until future sister-in-law. I just have to say thank you, OP. Me. Oh, is it for the care package? The week before I'd sent her a treat-yourself care package to take her mind off the wedding. Future sister-in-law. No, silly. About the wedding. Future mother-in-law has been telling me all about it, and I can't believe you do that. It's so nice of you. Future mother-in-law, who is sat next to future sister-in-law, is just smirking because she knows I have no idea what is happening. Future mother-in-law. Didn't future husband talk to you about it? It's all been arranged. Future sister-in-law and her future husband are going to have your wedding, and you're getting married at a later date. I ended the call pretty quickly after that. Future husband was in the other room working from home, so I sent a quick message to him. He hurried into the room and had no idea what future mother-in-law was on about. He called her back, but this witch is not backing down. Because future sister-in-law's wedding was supposed to be before ours, she should have our wedding. Now, here is why this is not happening. 1. It's my wedding. 2. My dad is sick. We're not sure how long we have him around for, but we know he'll be here next summer. He'll still be able to walk me down the aisle, but if his next round of treatment isn't successful, then after the wedding we might not have him for long. I'm not having a wedding without my dad there. No way. 3. The wedding venue. Okay, so the venue. It's my grandparents' house, which just happens to be, well, a mansion, country house. I grew up comfortable. I really don't know how to say it without sounding like a brat. This house has been in the family for generations. If you think of Downton Abbey, you're kind of on the right track. Most recently, it's owned by my grandparents, and my parents were married there. I have to be married there. This isn't just some fancy house. It was the house I spent my summers in. I grew up in that house. I once broke my arm sliding down the staircase banister. My brother still has a scar on his forehead from trying to skateboard down the front steps. It's my home away from home. I know it sounds petty, but sister-in-law won't see that. She will just see a big house. 4. The money. As I said, I grew up with money. Future husband did not. He had to take out loan after loan for university. His family had no idea how well off my family was until a few years ago, and ever since then, it's been a bit of a sore subject. Yes, my family has money, but we're old school about it. You really wouldn't think we had money from how we acted, apart from my brother's obsessive need to play polo of all things. I haven't told my parents about this yet because I know they will be disgusted by future mother-in-law's actions. Mostly from trying to ruin my wedding, but also just thinking she can pump out a family home as a wedding venue for her daughter. It's not a venue. The reason why we are getting married there is because it's family tradition. Future husband loves my family traditions, and when I suggested getting married there, he was all for it. He loves that house and my grandparents, still kicking around at 92 and 94. I know that the only reason future mother-in-law is suggesting this is because she wants future sister-in-law to have a really fancy wedding without having to pay a damn thing. Well, it's not going to happen. But how do we tell her this? Future husband loves his family. He's super close to his brother, who is his best man. And his dad can be nice when he's not making jokes about my silver spoon. I really don't want to cause a massive divide between them. But if future mother-in-law thinks she can steal my wedding, then duck it. I will cause a divide. I think between you, future husband, and your family, you've got things handled. Let future sister-in-law know you didn't agree to give up your wedding, and unfortunately, you cannot do it. Don't be moved by tears, real or crocodile. If it comes to it, let grandpops get the correspondence box out. Update. Future husband and I are calling the whole family as soon as future husband is out of a work call. I had called my parents and told them. They are horrified by future mother-in-law and can't believe she would do this. They've always been lovely to her, and they are really saddened that she would try to ruin the wedding. Called my grandparents too and gave them a heads up. Grandma swore and Grandpop said, "We can't have some strange people galloping around through the rhododendron. Do you want me to write a letter? I'll get the correspondence box out." Second update. Future husband is out of meetings. We are both pouring ourselves a large glass of wine and getting ready to call his family. We'll hopefully update you all about it in an hour or so. So, we called future sister-in-law first and told her that it was simply not possible for her to take over our wedding. The venue isn't a venue. It is my grandparents' home, and they don't want strangers in their home. More importantly, my father is sick. If his treatment works, he's got another 10 years. If not, then we really don't know. I want him at my wedding. Pushing it back isn't an option. Future sister-in-law was shocked. Turns out, she didn't know it wasn't a venue. Future mother-in-law had told her it was a country house venue, so of course it would be fine for her to take over the venue. I'm sure I've told her it was a family home. Future sister-in-law starts crying in frustration, and future mother-in-law comes barreling onto the scene. She was livid that we told future sister-in-law she couldn't take over the wedding. I'm not going to write down what she called me, but it was not pretty. Basically, I'm an entitled brat. I've never worked for anything, and now I'm shoving my privilege in future sister-in-law's face because I can get married and she can't. Here's when future husbands snap. She can still get married. She can go to the bloody registrar office and get married as soon as they open again. It's not like we're saying she can't get married. She just can't have her sodding wedding in OP's grandparents' back garden. She hardly knows them. OP's dad is sick, as you well know, so we can't push back the wedding. It's happening next August, and if you want to, be there. If not, then don't come. Oh, and you'll be getting a strongly worded letter in the post from Grandpop. Then he canceled the call. Success? Super quick update. Future sister-in-law has just sent a text message. "I'm so sorry about all this. No, we didn't have the best start, but really don't want this to become a huge thing. When lockdown is over, can me and fiancé come and see you two? Have a catch-up. Let us treat you to dinner or something." Hopefully future husband and I can talk some sense into her before future mother-in-law turns her into a flying monkey. My brother recently married this witch of a woman that he barely knows. In the time that they've been together, she has forced him to sell off all his possessions to provide for her, convinced him to basically live in his car for a year so that she wouldn't be unmarried and living with a man. Her parents are religious and pay all of her bills. Coerced him into quitting his stable job because she wanted more money, and a laundry list of other emasculating things. In the last 2 years, she has slowly been isolating him from his family while simultaneously asking for money and trying to get free meals out of us. They were married a few months ago in what can only be described as a complete crap show. She made it very clear that she just wanted to have a wedding before her sister and tied down the first one that would have her. As soon as they were engaged, it was all she would talk about. "I'm getting married before her, even though no one thought I ever would. Can you believe I'm getting married first? It's crazy." As soon as they started wedding planning, her parents gave her a lump sum of money to spend for the event, and she basically spent several thousand on a custom dress and then squirreled the rest of it away. She wanted a big wedding, but on a budget, so that she could save the rest. Then begged and pleaded and whined until everyone in their lives had spent their own money on her wedding. She went full psycho when it came to their gift registry, doing whatever it took to weasel gifts out of everyone months before the wedding. She even wanted some plates so badly that she lied to my brother, saying they were about to be discontinued and she needed to have them immediately before they were sold out. She ended up crying to my grandparents about how he couldn't afford them and they were about to be sold out forever. So they bought several sets for them and had them sent to her as fast as possible. She never even thanked them for this and then proceeded to chew out my brother in front of them, saying that the plates were never discontinued and that he had lied. He pulled his phone out to show her the text where she specifically told him about the plates, and she angrily told him that they would discontinue this later, not in public. When the day actually came, she didn't want anything to do with my brother. If she saw him, she snapped at him or slapped his hands off of her. They spent their entire wedding day separated from each other, him on one side, her on the other. If they needed to be together for a picture or cutting the cake, they had to be basically forced together. And then she just smiled for the camera and scowled at my brother. He was told on more than one occasion to hold my dress up, it's getting dirty. And don't put your hands on me like that, I'll look pregnant. Hell, she had him sing her down the aisle with a song about how he'll do whatever she wants to keep her. We all tried to stop this in its tracks, but he's stubborn and dug his heels in. We tried to ask him how everything was going, and we'd get snapped at and ignored for a week. If we tried to text him at all, we would get back responses that were clearly written by her, and she even admitted to my mother that if he leaves his phone lying around, she'll pick it up and answer texts. A week before the wedding, he texted me and said he wanted me to get to know her more and wanted us to be friends like he is with my husband. I told him I would try, but internally, I was seething. This girl has made zero effort to be a part of this family. If she speaks with us at all, it's usually some snide comment or a hateful little joke. She asked me to be a bridesmaid for the wedding by getting my brother to ask me, and then avoided speaking to me about it at all. Literally, if I had a question about anything, I had to go through him. But now, she wants to be friends with me. Hell no. I hate her, and I'm always going to. Until this marriage runs its course and they inevitably divorce, I'm not putting in any more effort to like her. I just pray that they don't have children and drag them into this mess. Scary. I hope she doesn't take out an insurance policy on his life, because she sounds like the type to do it. She's driven by money, sounds extremely selfish and narcissistic. Recipe for disaster. I'm serious. I hope your brother comes to his senses as soon as possible. But it sure as hell sounds like the next episode of 2020. I found this out today, and I don't know what the hell is going on. I feel like my sanity is wrecked. 3 years ago, the company my husband worked for was bought by another company. He told me he was given 2 options: take a huge salary cut or quit. He chose to stay, forcing me to suddenly stop being a stay-at-home mom for our 2 kids. For the last 3 years, I have been working in retail, and at other times working as a food courier to try to make ends meet. We have been pinching every penny. I feel like an idiot for so many reasons. We have not had any sort of fancy Christmas or birthday for our kids in years now, and frankly, I am furious. I spent months taking extra shifts just to save enough money to buy my kids a video game console for Christmas. Today, I found my husband's T4 slip. I noticed that his salary was almost $100K more than he said it was. I got very upset. I confronted him. He told me he has been investing more than half of his salary into cryptocurrency for the last several years. He also confessed that his holdings are worth a lot of money, like millions of dollars worth of money, according to what he had. He told me he had been lying because I wouldn't understand. Like, I am an idiot? He also told me that he wants us to keep doing what we are doing for a few more years, so then we can retire. I got really upset, and he told me he was leaving because I'm being unreasonable. I don't know where he is at all. I just don't know what the duck. He has been making me and our kids struggle to make ends meet just so he can play investor secretly on the side. It hurts. Ignoring the fact that I have been putting our family in danger while working through the pandemic, it just feels terrible. Is there a reason to even stay? Aside from this, he has been the same loving person since I married him, but this just feels so wrong. I feel the need to clarify something, considering the messages I have gotten. Let me put it this way. When we had our second kid, we came to an agreement that I would become a stay-at-home mom and left a decent, well-paying job to act as the stay-at-home mom. At that time, we could, since my husband was making $150K plus a year. Then, a year later, my husband claimed that his salary was cut to barely $60K. He is in a niche field, and there wasn't a ton of opportunities. We live in an area with a very high cost of living. When this happened, we discussed options. I will be frank, we could have probably sold our house and moved into something more affordable. Instead, we both decided I would chip in the best I can to make ends meet. We pinched every penny to pay our bills on time, remortgaged our house, etc. When the reality is, he was actually taking all that extra money and stuffing into his investments. I don't care about the investments. If he told me and we discussed it, I would have been okay with this to some degree. Our kids wanted to do things like sports, all sorts of extracurricular stuff, and they were deprived of that. I have had to borrow money from my parents' sister just to make ends meet. I have worked 2 jobs, and I have been regularly having to leave my kids with my parents' sister because I had to work and couldn't be a mom just to ensure we could make ends meet. If his plan was to share it and retire together, he should have told you that. You're his wife and should be his partner in these kinds of things. You should have known about it from day one.